In this video, I want to show you a really exciting technique that you can use to create lithography-like prints. You use a Akua plate making gel, carborundum gel, prepared plate, and lithography crayons to create drawings and then make prints from these drawings, and you can make quite a few prints. This is one of the prints of the drawing I had of a tree. I then developed this black and white print further by adding some monoprint, relief stamps, chine collé and some stencils. Hope you enjoy the video. Okay, so first of all I have to make my carborundum gel plate, and I have this self-made screen printing bed with my screen printing frame. You don't have to do that. If you just attach with some tape, some silk screen, you can do it without the frame, but I've got one here because I do some screen printing anyway at home. I'm going to attach my these are great because you can really easily wash your screen after you've used it. Okay, fab. Got to remove that protective film from both sides. This is a DRYPOINT plate. Just placing my DRYPOINT plate underneath the screen. Okay, so I've got Akua carborundum plate making gel. Let's do it. Put a generous amount at the top. Got a squeegee here. Should give me a good coverage. So as you can see, the top is a little bit messed up, but basically it takes practice, and if you mess it up you can always clean it off and do it again. I just simply didn't put enough paste on the screen before I started. You should always have ample. It's better to have more than you need than not too little, because you'll end up with uneven coverage. You can always put back the rest into the pot. These are lithography crayons, and they are of a different strength from the hardest to the softest. So you'll be able to see what I mean. So this one is the hardest, so you can have the finest sort of marks. A bit like the hardness of pencils, really. Like this is the H kind of pencil, and this is B1, I'd say. So this one is a little bit softer, so you can get softer lines. This one is even softer, you can get even darker. And this one is the softest, the darkest. So I should be able to build up my image from the lightest to the darkest by layering. So I've had fun drawing on this prepared plate, and it's quite nice drawing on it because it's got so much tooth from the carborundum plate making gel, so you could be actually quite expressive and draw sort of a little bit harder, press it a little bit harder, and have lighter marks just by drawing with the side of the crayon. So it was really expressive way, I guess, of creating marks on this printing plate. Let's just see how this will print. I'm really interested to find out. Okay, so the next step is using Akua release agent and rolling it onto the plate, and that's what's going to release the lithograph print. So I've got a very large roller, but you don't need a very large roller. I'm using a large roller because I want it to be evenly rolled out over my plate. But you can use a small roller as long as you kind of make sure you apply an even layer of the release agent all over your plate. Now in this instance, as you will see, I have actually put too much release agent onto the plate. As you can see, there's quite a lot of it. It's sort of sliding around everywhere, and there should be a lot less. And as I found out, it does actually make a lot of difference. So after wetting the paper for at least 20 minutes, I'm kind of block drying it with some kitchen towel just to get the surface water off the paper. So it's damp inside but not wet on the surface. So you have to wait 3 minutes for the release agent to start working and loosen up the wax of the lithograph crayon. The paper's wetted, and the press shouldn't be, it's a relief method, so it shouldn't be too tight. You want to adjust it as if you were printmaking in relief. Okay, so just putting a bit of newsprint on to protect the blankets so they don't get wet. Blankets down. We're putting it through the press now, and it's very obvious that this did not transfer well. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is that so you don't make the same mistake. Don't be tempted to put too much release agent on. And here is when I did a second run, when I put a lot less release agent on, but just barely any. I mean, it already had some on a plate anyway. So I just added a tiny bit more. And as you can see, the results are a lot better. It's quite sticky, so this is why you shouldn't tighten the press too much. And here is the third run. I think I put even less, literally the tiniest smidgen of the release agent. And as you can see, this worked out really nicely. So yeah, lesson learned. Sorry, it's upside down. And just to show you, I think this is like a 4th or 5th print. Look how much glitter crayon is still left on the plate. You could probably have at least 10 prints. They might get slightly weaker, but this depends how strong were your marks, but you can get quite a few. If you enjoy watching my videos and would like to help to support me to make more videos, you can do it in 3 ways. You can either like and subscribe, which is a great help already. You can become my channel member and get extra perks and extra content, as well as monthly meetups, by clicking on join button on my homepage of the channel. Or you can do a super thanks on an individual video or donate to my channel. Thanks for watching. So this one was made with too much of release agent. I've put too much of a thick layer of release agent, so got to be careful with that. Then I printed a second one. I added a lot less, well, a bit less release agent, but I think I had still too much, and perhaps paper was a little bit too wet. And the next one, the next 2 were brilliant. In fact, I added very little release agent, hardly any, and the paper was literally just soaked for 5 seconds in a bath, in a water bath. So still there was a lot of lithocrayon left on the plate, but I did manage. I didn't want to, well, I could have carried on printing, in fact. But I don't love it as much as I wanted to carry on. So I just cleaned the plate. I cleaned the plate with some oil and toothbrush, a soft toothbrush. And I managed to get, well, practically all of the lithocrayon off. There is, as you can see, a little bit of a damage to the plate, but not a huge amount. I could probably use it again. So yeah, interesting. I'm gonna see what I can do with these images further. Maybe add some chine collé, maybe add some relief print. I don't know, I'll think about it, but I have some choices. Yeah, interesting experiment. Oh yeah, maybe add some more monoprint. Which I actually did. And I carried on with this experiment in a studio, in CRAYONS studio, not in my home studio, because they have a really good relief press. And but you don't need to use a relief press. You can still use your etching press, just adjust the setting and put some runners on a side. So I've got some YUPO paper here, which is quite nice and smooth, and you can do some really nice marks, brush strokes. I've got an idea of colors. You can see sort of autumn colors. I've got them all mixed up here, and these sort of gentle brush strokes will create hopefully a nice background. Really, it would have probably been better to do the background first and then do the print, but I just wasn't really sure how this lithograph transfer would have worked out against a printed paper. So that's something, again, is worth experimenting with. This is my monoprint background, and I will carry on working on this print. So I didn't soak it, even though it's dry. Probably would have been all right being soaked in a bath, but I just thought I'll give it a spray instead, so I don't damage the already existing print in any way. And just doing some last minute adjustments with a cloth. Just blocking out the wiping off the ink where the tree is going to be, as I want the tree to be a little bit lighter than the background. And here it is. I didn't film the printing process. You'll have to take my word for it. This is what it came out as. Okay, so next I've got this relief stamp that I actually used for another print, and I'm going to use this here as I think it would work quite nicely. And here it is. I'm just using newsprint for masking purposes and putting it through this wonderful relief press. Again, you don't need to use a relief press. You can use your etching press if that's what you've got. You just have to use the runners on the sides. And here we go. Yeah, they're looking quite nicely. So I've decided to do, again, another relief stamp, slightly different pattern, but similar in slightly different colour. And here we go again, putting it through the relief press, and quite happy with that. Interesting effect. So I have then decided to add some more monoprint, and on the left hand side is my print, and on the right hand side is my YUPO paper, and I have thinned the ink with plate oil. Just so it's just a little bit easier to paint with, and I'm sort of going for loose brush strokes. I decided the brush strokes were a little bit too strong, so I kind of used a roller to get to smooth it out, to get rid of most of the ink. I've decided there was too much ink. Okay, so placing my YUPO paper with monoprint on top of my print for registration purposes, and as you could see, actually it was a bit smaller than the print, so I've got some bits sticking out. Not great, but yeah, hey, it's looking good. So here I'm just adding some chine collé, which is basically the prints on the newsprint that I had from that relief printing, and I just add layers as I go along. I'm adding some more monoprinting on that YUPO paper, just rolled some more ink and created some marks with just the back of a paintbrush, and I'm just getting rid of the residue ink from the last monoprint by using oiled cloth. And that works pretty well. I mean, you do still have a bit of residue ink that might transfer a little bit on the print, but it's fine. Yeah, so really it's kind of there was no plan. I was just adding layer by layer. The only plan I had really was the colors. I've chosen the colors before I set out, and just added relief monoprint marks as I kind of saw fit as I went along. So this is the next layer, and after I've printed out, I decided I needed some dark around the tree, so I've just rolled some ink out and wiped some off. Just wanted a little bit of a shade on one side, which is what that achieved. Then I moved on to making some stenciling. I had some stencils in my stencil box, and these stencils I sort of got the ink through the stencils cutouts, and did it that way through masking away the other side. Then I felt like there was still something missing on the right hand side. I wanted to add a bit more stencil mark that looked a little bit like leaves, I guess. So I added, this was like a reverse stenciling where I'm wiping off the stencil, the cutout areas on the stencil. Just to get that kind of shady, leafy area of the print of the design, and just wiping off the residue. And here we go. This was very much the last layer. I felt like I needed to end it there. I've got a few more of those black and white tree prints, and perhaps I could do some more to them too. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching.